Welcome, everybody, to Catfish Weekly, presented by Whisker Wear Apparel. Along with Chuck Davis, and I'm Lyle Stokes, and welcome to the show. Chuck, we had the greatest time at Wheeler Lake this weekend. It was the most outstanding tournament that I've ever been to since I left the Monsters on the Ohio. It was just absolutely so much fun that it should have been illegal.
Yeah, I knew this thing was going to start getting big. You know, the cabin fever starts setting in during the wintertime. No tournaments for a couple of months. Everybody gets antsy. No better place to come than Wheeler Lake. A bunch of good guys get together and put the two together. You can't help but to have the best time of your life.
That is exactly right. It was wonderful. We will have Paul Strouth on the show with us tonight via phone call. Paul couldn't get his tablet or laptop, whatever he has, to do the show with us on video, but he is going to call in here in about 10 minutes, and we'll visit with him for a while and get some information from him. He's still pretty excited, and understandably so. That was a great win for him, and he just laid it on everybody. I'm very happy for him. One of the things that made me most excited is the fact that he brought Tammy over there to fish that tournament with him, and there's nothing better than to see a man and woman and their partner go in there and kicks everybody's butt and take names. I was just very happy for them. They're very good people. They fish a lot of tournaments, and they done really well.
Yeah, he did his research, and everything worked out for him. And yep. I'm glad to see somebody like him, be the champion this year. And that's what it's going to take to get catfish growing. Guys like that coming up and winning. Gives everybody else hope. Not saying he's not a good fisherman, because he's a great fisherman, but it just seems that guys like him don't have the best luck when it comes to the big tournaments, and finally it worked out for him.
Well, last year his boat broke down. He didn't get to fish where he wanted to, and this year he got to fish where he wanted to and made it happen. So, yeah, he had a heck of a deal. I have a couple of things while we're waiting on Paul to visit about. We absolutely have met some of the greatest fishing people in the world that fish catfish tournaments. I hear about friendships being made and the amount of people that enjoy each other's company every time we go somewhere, and most of the people that we meet are friends for life. I enjoy being around them so very much. But Cindy had knee surgery here a few months ago, and she kind of had some problems, and we was kind of worried about being able to go. And then before the tournament, I got sick for about 2 weeks, and I had to power through it. And a couple days before the tournament, started feeling better. We made the trip down there, and everything was good. And Thursday night, before everybody started coming over to our cabin, we Cindy's leg give out on her after that surgery, and she took a tumble off of the top step at the cabin and bummed herself up a little bit. And being the tough one she is, she went ahead, and we took the day off Friday, and Saturday she's ready to go. And she's been really good about backing our boat and trailer and stuff into the ramps, but she gets a little nervous when we're in big crowds, and then with that monster cat, it being quite a bit bigger than what she's used to doing. We had a gentleman that come up to me and told me that he watched Catfish Weekly every week, and he wanted to make sure that we was never going to quit. He enjoyed the show so much, and he was an older gentleman, and I visited with him, and we got closer to the time to back the boat in, and he walked up there and he says, "Do you guys need some help getting that in?" I said, "Well, if you wouldn't mind, ask Cindy if she would like some help." And he said, "I'm here to help you. Let me help you get that backed in." And he pulled the truck up, and he backed the old boat in down the ramp for us, and she pulled it out, and he said, "There you go." And I thanked him, and come to find out that this gentleman's name is John Stevens. He's the guy that Larry Muse talks about being such an outstanding fisherman. And I visited with him a couple of times, and I still didn't know who he was, and I had to find out later. And I have to tell you, this is one of the most nicest guys that you'll ever meet anywhere in the world. Helpful, friendly, do anything for anybody, and he's a fan of Catfish Weekly. And Mr. Stevens, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for helping us out. We have had such a great time all the way from the party at our cabin Thursday night, plumb up to Troy Hansen calling fish on Friday morning. And those of you that don't know that, you need to check out Amy Smith's little video of Troy calling him fish. Some people may not find it amusing. I thought it was hilarious. We stayed at our cabin with John Nordyke, my buddy John, that was on the show last weekend, and he brought his couple of buddies of his down, one Kyle Dooley and his buddy Mark that he works with, and we had a great time at the cabin. And then Thursday night for New Year's Eve, Vince Nagowski and Ryan and Claude and Janet and Bink and Troy and Amy and Jason and Josh Mays and Brown's Catfishing, and I don't know. Vince was over there, and Stacy and a couple of guys, one her husband and their partner. And I don't know how many people was in and out of there, but excuse me, it was an absolute blast. Everybody had a great time, and I think most people caught fish down there. They might not have caught them on tournament day, but of all the times that I've been to lake fishing and the times that I've been to Wheeler, you always mark a lot of fish down there, and it seems like most people catch a lot of fish. I don't believe I've ever been anywhere that I marked any more large fish than we marked down there this time. They was stacked in different areas. They wasn't all at the same place. But every time you found fish, if you just look around, there were some giants down there to be caught. They didn't work all the time, but it was a outstanding tournament. And Daniel and Casey, I don't know how you could make it any better. I know you're going to work at doing that. You always do, as everybody does. But it was the very best of times, and that's all I can tell you about it. I know that you're trying to get your stuff lined up for 2016, and I'm working on our schedule. That's going to be quite a deal for 2016. We got a bunch of good stuff coming up, Chuck.
Oh yeah, man. There's some hard decisions to be made. We're not going to be able to fish them all. Even some of the ones that I plan on fishing, I know they're going to fall through. But it's better just to go ahead and make out a good schedule of, I make a dream list. Put about 12 or 15 tournaments on there. Pretty much I'll probably fish. I'm going to try to fish all the Alabama Catfish Trail tournaments, the small little local trail. Unless, there's a big event that's pretty close that's going to, interfere with it. And then, hit the big three, the Monsters on the Ohio, Mississippi River Monsters, and then the Winter Blues again next year.
Right. Well, from where I sit, just my opinion, we're going to look at trying to fish all the Twisted Cat outdoor tournaments. We're going to try to make the Quincy Cabela's tournament. We're going to hit Monsters on the Ohio. I would go down there. If I couldn't fish, I would be there. We're going to go to the Winter Blues on Wheeler, and we're going to Monsters on the Mississippi. And there may be a couple more we try to work in, but I can't imagine there ever being anything to equal Monsters on the Ohio. But Daniel and Casey have put together a tournament down at Wheeler that is absolutely as much fun. It's a little further for me. It took us about 9 hours to get there. But if they said they was having another of that magnitude next weekend, somehow I'd figure out how to get there. I mean, I just would. It might not be able to afford to fish it, but I'd be down there because it's just a blast. And they done an outstanding job. That community, they must have went up and seen what Aaron does up at Owensboro, because the community is getting around Daniel down there, and they're helping him out, and they're letting them use the school auditoriums or gym or whatever it was. And we packed that place just like we did the restaurant the year before. And I think there was 76 boats in it this year. There'll be over 100, I'm sure, next year. very well organized, very well run. The production company that he had helping him with that done an outstanding job. So kudos to them guys. It was really cool.
Yeah, they're used to doing a lot of bass tournaments, and he had his own trails and stuff that he promoted, just to put the usage in for his equipment and to get a bunch of guys together to have fun. But he told me today that he can tell a big difference between the attitudes of the catfish community and the bass community. He said he told me, he says, these catfish guys even seem glad to be there, so the bass guys, they just seem like they don't have as much excitement in them about the events, I don't think, from what he was talking about, than what he's seen in the catfish guys. And just being around them, he said it's just a great atmosphere, and it's just a totally different atmosphere. And he really loves it, and he is going to try to get into it a lot more. He had some different tourism board city guys talking to him about some different stuff also. So it looks like we may be getting some pretty good stuff going around this area for once, and that's great.
That's outstanding. Like I say, when you see these communities like Owensboro, Kentucky, and these places down in Alabama getting behind these guys putting on these big tournaments, you're doing it right. In fact, they wouldn't be in there with you. They wouldn't be doing what they're doing. And when they're getting behind you, you draw the bigger crowd. You get more sponsorship from local and out of town sponsorships. The motel looked pretty full to me. The one as you go up the hill past the entrance to the park, and I know most of the cabins was full. So it was really nice. And from leaving 19 degrees when we left the house Wednesday, we get down there to be in the 50s. This is our Christmas vacation. This is what Cindy and I do for each other for Christmas. Instead of buying gifts, we go to Wheeler Lake in Alabama and see all you guys. And as long as Daniel's doing it, I got a feeling we're probably going to keep making that trip. Now it's just a lot of fun, and normally the fishing is really good. And there was some giant fish caught down there early in the week before the front move through. Jason Mathena put a 92 in the boat. It was just an absolute stud. The fish, not Jason. I don't know about that. You have to visit with somebody else about that. But, it was a great fish, and there was a lot of 50, 60, 80-pound fish caught that week. Here comes our call. We're going to get our winner on here. Hang on just a second. Hey, Paul.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm okay. How about you?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Congratulations on a big win down in Wheeler.
All right. Well, it was definitely a big win.
Yes, it was. It was an outstanding deal. You guys went in there with a plan, made it happen, and we're all very proud that you got it done.
Well, we had a plan. I didn't feel like it was the best plan. Those guys that fish that big water had travel a lot farther than I do. I was certain that I was going to get beat.
Well, you might have been certain, but it didn't work out that way.
That's for sure. But we weighed in kind of early, and I was stressed out the whole time. I think there were 9 boats left, and we still had a big fish at the tournament. And then of course we got bought for third on that, but it was a great event, great for us to score. For seeing everybody, and I miss Chuck. I wish he had been there, but I know circumstances and weather has issues with that.
Well, it does, and he had some things come up, and then with all that flooding and stuff that they had before that, it kind of threw a little damper in him. He's trying to rush around. Some other things didn't exactly go right, but you're going to get him right now because I'm going to turn you over to Chuck and let him ask you some questions, and you guys just have a good time.
Okay, that sounds good.
All right, Chuck. Chuck?
Hi, congratulations, Paul. Is this the biggest win of your fishing career?
Yes, it is. It's by far the biggest win of my career.
Awesome, and you deserve it. You know, you've been close many times and had so many bad opportunities come up with equipment and such, and if finally everything come together for you, and I'm very proud of you, man. You picked it up and you got everybody looking forward to next year. Those big fish coming in, people seeing that you did something a little bit different. So that's going to make them want to go out and try to do different things.
Right. The only problem with me doing something different is I did something different right there where everybody could see me doing it. So I suppose that's I won't even really get near that spot next year.
Oh yeah, I've seen some good spots like that, and going to go back and fish those spots, and just never could bring myself to it. But from now on, I'm gonna be right there on spots like that if I mark good fish, and I'm the type of guy that it's hard for me to change my ways. I've always got to be out there in that deep water and those channel edges and all that. It don't matter what the weather and the water conditions are. Even though I know that they're not there and they're probably up in, the shallow flats or the sloughs, I just can't bring myself to do it. But I'm going to have to change some things around if I'm going to be getting up there on the top of the leaderboard.
Right. Well, one of the things about fishing in the shallower water that I've noticed is you don't always mark the fish in the shallow water. You just have to be confident that based on other places, other conditions, that they're there. And like I said, I've got some base. My plan is always based around my pontoon. It's not the fastest or the prettiest or anything like that, but I'm comfortable.
Right. What does it feel like when those big old fish hit in that 5, 6, 7 foot of water? I mean, is it a lot different feeling than when you're out there on that 30, 40, 45 foot channel edge?
Oh yes, it's a completely different feeling because when those fish hit in that shallow water, they are moving. I mean, they move sideways and they're in a hurry to go somewhere. And when you catch them, if you can catch them in 3 feet of water, like those 50-pound fish in 3 feet of water, you actually see them tail up to hit your bait before your rod ever moves. And that just, I'm trying to work on getting some video of that this year. That's unreal, seeing that happen.
But when you fish in the 3 foot of water, do you you position your boat where you cast toward the bank, or do you position your boat where you cast parallel with the bank and stagger your baits, or is it kind of like a fanning situation?
A lot of times it depends on where I'm fishing. Most of the time it's a fanning situation, but luckily my pontoon I can sit in a foot and a half of water if I want to. But so it just depends on on the conditions, what's going on around me.
Right. Videos, some certain guides out on the James River. I've seen some video of them catching some big blues in 4 foot of water. With the big swirl action you're talking about, but it's probably nothing like actually being there and it happening to you.
Right.
Yes, that's something I'd really like to experience. Do you actually mark those fish, or you just know that they're in the area, or you just have a good feeling that they were in the area because of the heavy current, and that would be a good little getaway for them to get up into the warmer, shallower flats and get out of all that heavy current?
Well, we didn't pre-fish. My wife has been sick, and I've been sick. We were down there Friday morning, so I didn't get a pre-fish. So I was going on the hunch that they would be there just because of all that current and the weather. But when we put the boat in Saturday morning, I did kind of ease over there and look, and got back out of there pretty quick because I did see some things over there that I was really glad to see.
Great. Yeah, I really don't know, where everybody says you was at from the boat ramp, because I didn't get to see you that morning, or where your boat was at. Was you on the launch side of the marina, or was you on the lake side of the marina?
I was on the ramp side of the marina. I'm not a good judge of how far away I was. I wasn't far. Honestly, we sat and watched the boat ramp all day.
Awesome. Yeah, I think I know where you sat. I seen guys are going around the edge and, throwing the net for shad all around in there. I bet that's a blast, watching those big blues hitting that shallow water like that. I've seen a lot of guys take off and go up into a lot of places like that, off of the main river. I didn't follow them or nothing to see where they were going, but I would actually look on my chart, and see, why they would be going up in there and stuff. And, the places they were going up in, was similar to where you were at. And, some of the places we would sit there for a couple of hours, and them boats were never coming back out. So I'm sure they were going up in there and they were getting on to stuff like you were getting on to, or they would have been right back out of there.
One of the great things about shallow water fishing is generally you have activity all day. Depending on who you listen to down there, apparently I caught 99 fish, and a lot of other rumors were flying around. We actually did catch around 18 fish for the day. We had enough bait to catch 98 fish, but we just couldn't have done 99 even if we wanted to.
What was your bait of choice for the tournament? And was it frozen or fresh?
It was fresh skipjack. My wife worked her butt off Wednesday and Thursday getting us fresh bait while I was at work. And we didn't have any of the monster skipjack like we always want, the 2 and 3 pounders. We had, I guess our biggest skipjack may have weighed a pound. Everything else was small, 8 to 10 inch, those sleek skipjack that, again, they just haven't been around long enough to get that flat body and thickness to them.
Right. I mean, the ones the ones that kind of, you're a little discouraged when you cut them because they're not bleeding a whole lot and stuff like that. That's the sizes you're talking about.
Right.
Yeah, they seem to have worked pretty good and put off some pretty good scent. Well, the areas you were at, was there like creek or runoffs that were actually bringing any small type of a current through those areas?
I don't think we had, not that I could tell that we had any current where I was at. The wind was moving the water a little bit, but we really didn't have that much, nothing that I could really see. And we changed baits quite often. We actually fished that first spot. We fished it for like 3.5 hours, and after about an hour, I would pick a couple rods and put fresh bait on it. And then after another hour, I'd pick another couple rods that really haven't been active and put fresh bait on them. And we do that regularly.
You got a whole bunch of people in chat that's congratulating you. I thought I'd let you know in case you didn't see it. And Mark Coburn would like to know if you feel that the front coming through helped you more in the fact that it turned your shallow fish on, or the fact that it was affected the other competitors in a negative way more than normal.
The front, a lot of times the front will turn off my shallow water fish faster than it will the deeper water fish. I think the reason that I caught fish in that shallow water is the reason that those fish are in that shallow water is they're hungry. They're feeding. They're there for a reason. And then they move out. They go wherever they want to go after that. But I caught the fish that were feeding.
Now, was you using big pieces of bait or small pieces of bait?
Well, they were small pieces of bait by normal standards, but they were big pieces of bait for what I had. I would usually cut my bait in half. There was probably a 3 or 4 inch length in my bait, but it was only like an inch and a half wide and only a half inch thick.
Okay. Jerry Dillard would like to know, when you're fishing shallow water, how long do you typically sit on a spot before you move?
Well, this time of year, wintertime in shallow water, I give it an hour, at a minimum, an hour. Springtime, when the water starts warming up and the fish are actually getting a little bit more active, if I'm not doing anything in 20 minutes, I'm in the wrong spot. Usually in the springtime, before I get all my rods out, I've usually got 1 or 2 fish.
Okay. And how much weight was you casting out there in that creek?
3 ounces.
3 ounces. 3 ounces.
Yeah, we didn't downsize our weight that much. We downsized from 6 ounces to 3 ounces, and that was pretty much what I thought.
Okay, Chuck.
That was sufficient.
I got him caught up on chat. Go for it.
Okay. You said your wife went out and worked and got your skipjack. As she was bringing them in, were y'all just bagging them up and icing them down? How was y'all keeping your skipjack the freshest they would be for the Saturday morning bite?
Anything that we caught, we started catching bait on Sunday, and anything I caught from Sunday till Wednesday night, I actually brought home. We put them on ice to serve they were caught, and then I brought them home, and I actually went through the whole vacuum sealer and dropped them in the freezer for a day or two. Some of them were in there 4 days, some of them were in there 3, 2, and so on. The bait she caught Thursday went straight into the cooler on ice, and it stayed. Luckily it was cool, and we didn't have any problem with our ice melting or anything like that, and that was not a good situation in my opinion.
And did you use any of the frozen bait compared to the what you had iced down? And could you tell a difference in the bite?
No difference. Sorry, but there's no difference between it. I did use a bag of frozen bait just as a test, and no difference in what was in it being that fresh. No difference at all.
Right, because there was no freezer burn. And it was just as oily and bloody. And but when you thawed it out, did you thaw it out slow, or did you cut it while it was froze solid, or how do you use your frozen bait?
I got the bag of frozen bait out, and the first piece, of course, come out. It was froze. I said it froze, and as I just left the bag out of the cooler, so it would start thawing. So by the time we got to the end of that bait, all of it was solid, and it was. You cut it, it bleeds just like you just caught it. I think myself, I know everyone does everything different, but I think the vacuum sealing really makes a difference in the freshness of the bait.
You pulling all the oxygen out. You think that's the key to it?
Yes.
Yeah, that I heard that. That makes a big difference. I was in the food processing industry for 3 or 4 years, and a lot of our product we would pull the oxygen out and add a little CO2, but just getting rid of the oxygen itself, makes a huge difference on keeping anything fresh. When you would you just use a regular Carolina rig with a regular no roll 3 ounce? Is that how you do your rigs?
Well, my rig, it's a regular Carolina rig, but I use bottom door tackle, sinker slides, and I'm using the, I've got a mold, several molds. I use, I think it's the river style anchor, or the river style sinker that's mold the eye into.
Oh yeah, those are nice for sinker slides. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, I love those sinker slides. That enables me to change from, depending on where and what and when, I can change from, an ounce to 14 ounces or 16 ounces in a blank if I want to.
Okay. Being in the pontoon boat and finding a good area to where you want to target. So you're able to fan out around the total radius of your pontoon. Is that what you try to do if the current's not actually moving your lines around and you're able to do a nice fan like that? Does that seem to work really well for you on being able to find the fish?
It does. We don't fan. Most of my fan is out the front. I have rod holders on the back and a couple on the side, but with that top kind of inhibits us a little bit. So we mostly fan 10 or 11 rods around the front and maybe a couple out on the back corners. And if it just depends on whether if the fish are coming from one side or the other side or the back, then I'll reposition the boat slightly to get my front rods where they need to be.
Yeah. With Daniel changing his rules this year and being able to use unlimited amount of rods, do you think that was to your advantage, being able to use that many instead of if we had the 6 rod rule and you was only able to use 6? Do you think using the being able to fan out 12 was a big asset for you?
Well, it's always, the more bait you can get in the water, you always up your chances. I like it either way. With the 6 rods, I still do a pretty good fan. I just spread them out farther in between each other on the pontoon. So either way, it's usually good for us. We've done well, both ways.
Oh yeah, if that fresh skipjack's in the water and that big old blue's gonna find it if it's anywhere close. If he gets that one little particle, he's gonna find it. Yeah, it's on. All right, Paul. Well, I think I've picked your brain enough, so I'm gonna pass you off to Lyle and see what he's got for you. Congratulations, man! And I'm gonna try to get up there this year and fish with y'all for sure. I didn't get a chance last year like I had planned, but I'm dying to get up there and fish on y'all's water. And that place I talked to you about where I want to try, where all the rivers come together. That right there, I sat there and I looked at the map of the United States and I said, if there's anywhere in the United States I could fish for blue cats, where it would be. And I studied the whole map and where those 2 rivers come together and then run right into the Tennessee River in that horseshoe. That area is where I want to fish. That is my spot.
That's an excellent area. There's a lot of the people who have done well down here in the Cabela come and fish that area. And like I told you before, anytime you want to come, or you and your wife, or whatever, we usually have an extra bed here at the apartment. Not many people want to come visit me for some reason. I must be a bad host, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I was wanting to come so bad, man. I just didn't get a chance, and I know I'm gonna be pretty busy up to the first part of the summer. But if I can fit it in there, I'm gonna try to get up there before then, because that spot right there is looks like the springtime dream to me.
Yeah, it is. It's a great spot. Great area.
All right, Lyle, he's all yours.
Paul, I don't know that if I might have missed it or not, but did you say that you was anchored the whole time you was in there?
The whole time.
The whole time, yeah. I thought that was right, but I wanted to clarify that. We've got people asking questions in on Facebook and chat, and I'm trying to keep up with both of them. But, that is an outstanding day to catch that many fish and all those quality fish. And you guys working together. Now, who was the gentleman that fished with you and Tammy?
That's Brian Lawson. He is my alternate tournament partner. Obviously, my wife is my priority as a tournament partner, but Brian, he has been a great tournament partner. You could not ask for a better partner, honestly. He's the actual reason that we got to come down and fish the winter blues on Wheeler. He called me up. He said, "Hey, you want to fish?" And I said, "Well, Brian, it's right after Christmas, man. My funds are tight. I don't know." And he said, "Okay, would you fish if you could?" So obviously, I would love to fish. He said, "Okay, I'm sending an entry fee in tomorrow, and I'll have our reservations made in an hour." And so all I had to do was pretty much hook the pontoon to his truck and buy a little gas and some food, and we got to fish. And I can't say enough about Brian. Brian is like the ultimate tournament partner.
Well,
if I called him today and said, "Hey, we're going to go fish a tournament wherever," he would be ready to go and ready to pay more than his share.
Right, and you can't beat a partner like that. Someone that shares the passion for doing tournaments as you do, and I know that you do. I've seen you at a lot of places, and I know you go to as many as you possibly can, and you get a guy like that wants to go and share everything with you and enjoys being in the boat and catching those great fish. You're right. That is as good as it gets for a tournament partner. Mark would like to know if your big kicker fish came early in the morning or late in the afternoon.
Our big fish came early. We caught the big fish only around 10 o'clock. Now, that's our 68-pound fish. Now, the 50-pound fish we caught at 2:22.
At 2:22.
Yeah.
Man, that's late in the day, yeah.
Yeah. We actually had been catching undersized fish. We caught that one oversized fish. The 68-pound fish was the only oversized fish we had for the day. We caught everything else was undersized. And at 2:22, I was able to call a 6-pound fish with a 50-pound fish, and that's unheard of.
Yeah, it is. That's outstanding. That's outstanding. Marty Green wants to congratulate you on the win, and he said the shallow water bite is killer in the wintertime in South Carolina on Lakes Wiley and Water Tree. He says you can't beat that awesome bite when they're up there in the shallows.
Yeah, shallow water bite is just awesome. Anytime, winter times, early spring, the shallow water bite is phenomenal. I don't want you guys to know that because I like you all going out in the channel and leave me alone.
Well, I talked to one of my really guys that I look up to early in the week, and we was discussing. Actually, it might even have been the weekend before we all left, and we was talking about that. And the guy told me, he said, when you see me, I'll probably be up on the bank somewhere fishing fairly shallow water, and I didn't see that happen. But in hindsight, I think we're both thinking, "Damn, what happened, man? We just didn't do what we talked about." But it worked out for you, and like I say, everybody is just super excited that you guys come all the way and pulled that pontoon boat that distance and done so well. It's just outstanding.
Well, I thank you, and I thank everyone else who's congratulating me. I'm not actually looking at the chat right now, but it's been a phenomenal day, 2 or 3 days. We're still coming down from the high of it.
Well, Paul, one of the things that I wanted to touch on just a minute, you mentioned that Tammy fished that tournament with you. When we was in the captain's meeting the night before the tournament, you'd come over to visit with me a little bit, and I was glad to see you as always. And when I found out that she had come out there with you, I wanted to go visit with her, and I told you that. And we went over, and I told her that I was so happy that she came. I honestly think, and I know some people think I'm nuts about this, but I believe that the people that brings their wife to these tournaments and the guys that bring their sons, like Richie Blakely, those and their daughters, there's usually some girls in these tournaments, but those people work together. They do the family thing, and you don't see that in fishing sports in tournament fishing sports other than in catfishing. I am so excited when a guy brings his wife or his girlfriend or his daughter or his son. I mean, to me, that is the best part of fishing. You make it a family event. And when Daniel lets you take the extra person in the boat or two people in the boat, or if you have a boy and a girl or a wife and a daughter or a wife and a son or a wife and a great fishing partner like you can, it makes it work really well. And I'm just, them kind of things is what makes these tournaments so great.
I agree with you, and my wife will be the first person to tell you that she is the reason why we won this tournament. She every time she's on the road with this tournament, we finish well. I'm beginning to believer, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, that's like I say, I wanted to go over and visit with her because it's really good, and I knew that you had told me that you guys neither one had really been feeling that well, and I kind of went through a little spell of that too, where I'd not been feeling good, and you want to do these things so bad. I mean, you want to get to these tournaments, and who's going to be there, and they're some of the best people in the world, not only as fishermen but as your friends, and like I say, I see you at a lot of tournaments, and we visit a little bit. Sometimes we don't get to visit too long, but we always see each other and shake hands and visit for a little bit, and there's just so many that are making more and more of these tournaments as husband and wife or girlfriend or daughter and son and whatever, that I'm excited about what we have to look forward in the future. We have quite the conversation going on here with a couple of these guys about me washing my hands. I'm not going to get into that, but it's kind of a mess. But Paul, I can't thank you enough for spending your time and being on the show with us tonight. I wish Tammy was off work where she could be here, and if you would tell congratulations to your partner and her, we'd all appreciate it. We enjoy very much having you on the show and seeing you down at the tournament. And when we have guests on, we always give them time at the end of the show to thank anybody in particular or sponsors that they would like to. And I think we're kind of going to wind up this part of the show tonight. And if you have anybody that you would like to show your appreciation to, you have all the time now to do so.
Well, obviously, I want to thank Bottom Growers Tackle, Big Dave. He does so much for me. Practically every piece of equipment on my boat has came from his shop. Driftmaster rod holders. One person I want to thank, which will be kind of odd for a Driftmaster guy, I suppose, but is Steve Douglas, and because of everything he has done for our support, and Aaron Wheatley as well for trying to help protect these catfish that we love to catch. But other than that, and obviously there's so many other people out there that do things for us, and so many other good companies. But those are the few people that I would like to acknowledge in person. Well,
I'm glad that you've done that, Paul, because I think the general consensus has changed, and you may use Driftmaster rod holders, but I actually sent Steve a message this morning or last night and thanked him myself, the same as you did, for being a sponsor of the tournaments. He does not have to do that, as so many sponsors do not have to, and he does a lot for a lot of places, and I think I congratulate you for doing that also, as outstanding gesture on your part.
I really appreciate you having me on the show, and I'm going to have to get over here so I actually get to watch this and watch some of the comments and other things like that. But I look forward to seeing you guys again. And if you ever get down this way, Lyle, and would like to fish and don't want to pull your boat or anything of that nature, the same is open for you as it is for Chuck. My apartment, it's not really big, but it's a great place to go and play down. And I would be happy to have you on my boat.
Well, thank you very much for the invitation. You know, there was several years in a row that Cindy and I planned on making it out there and going to the Potomac River and the James River and Sandy Cooper and every place that we know some people and spending 2 or 3 weeks out there getting to do that. And every year we'd plan that and nothing ever come up, and something would come up and we didn't get to make it. And one of these days it's going to happen, and we're just going to close up everything and take off and probably take 2, 3, 4 weeks and make a trip out east. And I want to hit all the good spots, and I'll be looking you up when that happens, because we want to.
What's part of the phenomenal fishery, as a lot of people can attest to, and that's where I'm really close to what's part now.
Awesome.
I actually can look out the window and see out of the lake. So.
Oh, that'd be outstanding. But you know, Paul, if you ever get over here, I'll meet you in St. Louis and we'll go fish the Mississippi or the Missouri. If you come down the southwest part of the state, we'll go up to Lake Ozark or Truman, and we'll have a great time. And that's the part of things that makes this catfishing sport what it is right there.
Exactly. And let me go ahead and toss Larry Muse's name out there too, because Larry is a great ambassador of our sport as well. He has taught me a lot. And you don't find people in other sports or other catfish or other fishing that do what us catfish guys do. I mean, how many people will show you their rig and tell you how to use it, and that this is how you could beat me? You know, so Larry has done great for our industry and sport.
That's fine. I'm standing at the waiting.
Okay. Yeah, that's outstanding. And you know, I was so glad to see you, and congratulations again. And we'll try to get everything lined up, and I'm sure we'll be seeing you real soon at one of the next tournaments.
You will. We plan on going to a lot of tournaments. I think I'm not going to do 30 this year, but I'm shooting for 25, 28.
Well, that's a pretty good year. That's a pretty good year. That's a lot. You guys will be busy. Well, congratulations, and thanks for joining us on the show tonight, Paul.
And thank you again, and thank you too, Chuck.
All right, Paul, I'll see you later, and go catch some hogs, man.
I'm going to try.
All right, buddy. All right, thank you. All right, that was Paul Strouth, winner of the Winter Blues on Wheeler tournament. I mean, they put it on. Everybody down there had a great day, and we had an awesome time visiting with them. And you know, really good people for the sport, and they're the kind of people that we need. There's nobody that wanted to win or needed to win or deserved to win any more than them guys did. Is this on speaker?
Yes.
All right, we have another guest that called in on the phone tonight. We're having a run of not getting video stuff on, but Vicki Mathena is on the phone with us, and we had Vicki on last week, but we got some more stuff to visit with her about, and everything didn't work out to where we could do it last week, so we're going to do it tonight. How you doing, Vicki?
Hi, how are you?
I am wonderful.
Hey, girl, how you doing?
Vicki?
Yeah.
Did you hear Chuck?
Oh, I'm doing fine, Chuck. How are you?
Great, great. I love your pictures on Facebook. I see y'all had a good time.
Had a ball. Couldn't ask for a better week.
Okay.
Awesome. I can't wait to get together and spend some more time with y'all. I've missed out on it this time, but we got plenty of more times coming. So just looking forward to those.
Yeah, I'll be glad to see one of the tournaments.
Vicki, you know, at the end of the show last week, I got a message that started coming in, and he was trying to get in the chat room with us, and he couldn't get it to work. And he actually it was George Young Jr. He wanted to talk to you, and you know, he wanted to talk to you while you was on the phone with us, and we couldn't make it happen. So today he was supposed to be on here, and he went to his daughter's house for a little Christmas dinner or something or other, and they have no signal out there, so it's not going to work again for him. but I'm going to ask you some questions that he has sent to me, if you don't mind.
Oh my. Okay.
You know, you've been fishing for a long time. You and Jason have fished together as long as I've known you, and that's been a few years now. And Jason's told me stories about you fishing before you started fishing these catfish tournaments.
Yeah.
What would be your ideal person to go fishing with if you had someone to go out fishing just for an afternoon with?
Other than Jason?
Yeah, other than Jason. I mean, I'll take Jason.
You'll take Jason?
I'll take Jason. Yeah, if you could go fishing with someone else, anybody in the world, celebrity, non-celebrity, or anything, who might that be?
Oh wow. Probably Bill Dance.
That's pretty good. Pretty good answer.
If it's somebody alive, Bill Dance. If I can pick just anybody, be my dad.
Well, that would be a great time too. Jason had talked to me, and he had mentioned this to a couple of people that Bill Dance might be a person that you really would like to go fishing with. And when we had Bill and George on the show, you know, when you and Jason was on the show with us, we had you guys on a little while before the show started and talked about some other things and different stuff and how the show runs and different things. And this subject was brought up about you and Bill, and George Young has made that happen.
What?
We have the tournament that George is putting on, Mississippi River Monsters. Out of the first 50 people that entered that tournament, they're going to draw a name for someone to get to fish with Bill Dance. And this has nothing to do with that. This has nothing to do with that. That's still going to happen for someone. I hope it's me. But when Bill found out about this, him and George talked about it. And one day, the week before that tournament, Bill's going to take you out for a few hours, and you guys are going to get to fish together.
Oh my gosh!
That and this again. Now we're talking about catfishing. We're not talking about any other fishing sport, and we're talking about the #1 fisherman, as far as I'm concerned, worldwide. And you get to spend some part of the afternoon in a boat with him.
That's fantastic! Oh my gosh! Thank you.
Well, the person to thank would be Bill Dance and George Young. They made it happen. Yeah. George thought that was a great idea, and when they talked about it, they decided that it needed to happen. You have been one of the standbys forever. When somebody goes to a tournament, they're looking to see where Jason and Vicky's at, and you've done your share, and this is sort of a way that they're going to give back for everything you've done for our sport.
Oh, wow. And I don't feel like I've done anything. I just enjoy what I do. I enjoy being with all the people, and especially with my son.
Well, it's not every day that someone can fish as many and as much time as you and Jason get to put together. And I am very thrilled to know you guys and actually get to be around you as much as I am. And, you know, Jason, this whole thing started with a thought that he had. So I guess he's the backbone to it, and the rest of the stuff just kind of fell in place. And congratulations for this happening. And I know you're going to have a great time.
Thank you, and I'm sure I'll have a wonderful time.
Now,
I am so excited.
The question I have for you,
Uh-huh.
would you actually put Bill Dance in timeout?
I don't think so. He might put me in timeout, but yeah, I don't think so.
Well, you know, I know you're going to have a wonderful time, Vicky, and George will be in touch with you, and you guys can figure out how it's going to happen. Congratulations. I know that you'll have a great time, and if there's anyone in the world that deserves this, it's you.
Oh, well, thank you so much.
Well,
And thanks, Chuck.
You're welcome, and you have a ball.
I'm sure both of you had something to do with this, along with Jason and George.
well, George and Bill are the ones that made it happen, and that's where the thanks go. And you know, like I say, everybody dreams about getting to fish with Bill Dance one way or the other, and your dream's going to come true.
Thank you.
All right. We'll be talking to you soon, Vicki.
All right. Have a good evening, guys.
Thank you. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Vicki Mathena gets to fish an afternoon with the great Bill Dance. It does not get any better than that, does it, Chuck?
Oh, no. It don't get no better than that.
Yep, it really don't. George wanted to tell her himself. He tried to get in chat last weekend. He couldn't get in. I would have to, we had the phones going. We have the live chat going. We have the Facebook stuff going, and I couldn't get it organized to where he could get on there. So he decided that he was going to do it tonight, and we worked and worked and worked to try to get everything lined up to do it. And he had to be at his daughter's house, and it's in a place where not only could they not get the service to do it, he run out of phone service, and he sent me a message, and he just can't get it to make it happen, and wanted to know if I would tell her, because we've been trying for a couple of weeks, and we got to do it. I really would have liked for George to do it. He is the man that done the most to make this happen. And like I say, for those of you that know Vicki, you know that there's nobody in the world that deserves this any more than her, or that'll have any better time than her. And for those of you that have not met Vicki Mathena, you are missing out on one of the truly greats. So what else we got to go with tonight, Chuck?
The Catfish Conference.
Yes, sir.
Anything new on that you've heard of?
Just that it's getting bigger and going to be better by the day. I actually had wrote that down to talk about, and we're getting close to the end. So the Catfish Conference 2016 at Jeff Jones Marina, Versailles, Kentucky, February 27th. I honestly believe that anybody that has anything to do with catfishing will be there. I talked to a number of people this weekend that are planning on being there. Fishermen, sponsors, business people of all sorts. If they have catfishing in their blood, I think that they're going to either attend or make the best possible effort they can to get there. I think it'll be a great time. We are going to try to do a live show out of there. The closer we get to time, and when we make sure that they have the internet connection, I can't imagine being in a town the size of Versailles that they wouldn't have, then we'll get everything lined up. And what we'll try to do is get people lined up for interviews that want to be on the show. We'll run as many through as we possibly can, and we'll have a blast. When we do this, we want to do it live. We don't want to record it. The last time down at Bass and Moore, that was so exciting. We had a wonderful time down there, and that's what we'll try to do down at Versailles. Steve Douglas and these guys at Jeff Jones have absolutely worked unbelievable amounts to put in time and effort and energy to make this thing happen. I think that it's going to be a great event. What are you going to do in February? If the water's froze, you might as well go down there and look at boats and talk catfish. We've seen some of the great people and a lot of people that we don't see a lot of times at Wheeler this past weekend. I hadn't seen some of the guys for a long time. Justin Browning was down there. I hadn't seen Justin all year, and we joked around and kidded around and had a big time down there for a few minutes. And really, when you get that many people together, a lot of times you only get a few minutes. I seen Chris. Spoke to him down there in the eat line, and there just everybody that's involved in these tournaments are starting to be at more and more of these events. And this Catfish Conference, I think, will be an outstanding deal. I really, from the response they're getting on this now, I don't see how it's possible that they can do two of them in one day. I think after this one, they're going to figure out that it's going to be so big that it's going to have to be a 2-day event.
Yeah, it's I've been these boat shows and these outdoors shows and stuff that come to town. To be able to do everything in one day, you really have to rush and really can't do everything that you want to do. I can see something like this very easily being a whole weekend event.
I can too. Now, we usually go to several shows throughout the winter and sports shows and different events and put on seminars and showcase rods and equipment and talk about different things with as many people as we can. And this is kind of what this is, but on a greater magnitude, and it's specifically about catfishing. And I really think that it's going to be a blast. I mean, if you're not there, you're going to miss out on something, and it's free. I mean, that's a heck of a deal. All your time and energy getting there, the rest of the stuff, and you get to see all the big dogs and all the little dogs. Everybody in between. Everybody's going to be there, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So,
right. I mean, I can see in the future to where, the people setting up booths, you have to pay booth fees and stuff like that, which would only seem fair. But the way the catfish community is, I don't think you would ever have to pay an entry fee to go to one of these conferences. The vendor booths and stuff like that may have to pay a fee to get you a booth and set it up and all. But I think it's the more, next year is going to be really big. We look at what Daniel done from year 1 to year 2. This catfish conference is big to start. Year 1 is going to be huge. So year 2, if it grows in comparison to what Monsters on the Ohio has, to Winter Blues on Wheeler and some of the other events that we're going to, if it grows in that magnitude in a couple of years, it'll be the next big thing in catfishing. Right. So, anything else you want to visit about tonight, old buddy? Not too much. What's your next big event you're looking forward to besides this conference coming up?
Let's see. Which one is first, Mississippi River Monsters or Monster on Ohio?
Mississippi River Monsters.
Well, that'll be the next big one that I'm looking forward to. Now, I'm going to be there if I'm excited about this catfish conference. That's the next big event we're going to, and we're going to try to fish all of the Twisted Cat outdoor tournaments this year. We're going to try to make all of those. There's a couple of events that Brad Kilpatrick has over Kansas City Catfish. We're looking at some of those. There'll be benefit things that pop up throughout that we'll try to attend. I really want to try to make the Cabela's tournament in Quincy, Illinois this year. I seen Jeremy down at the Wheeler tournament. He wasn't fishing, but he was there, and that is a feather in Daniel's cap when you get these big guys like Aaron Wheatley and Jeremy Coe and places, guys like this showing up to see how things are run, and these guys have got to be changing notes on what they're doing to get these events working like this, and that's a great thing. It's a great thing. So we're going to try to do that one and maybe sneak in another one or two, and we are going to be at Monsters on the Ohio. Not fail. We are going to be at the Mississippi River Monsters. Not fail. We are going to be at the Winter Blues on Wheeler. And anything else that we can make, and I'd like to come out east, Vince, I really would. And if we can make that happen, we'll try to make. We can't make every big tournament. We went up to the Grand Forks and fished the Cat's Incredible tournament a few years ago. It was an absolute blast. We had a wonderful time, but it's like 14 hours up there for me, and we drove all night to fish that 2-day tournament. And when we got up there, Brent Riddle was up there, and Doc and Yao and a bunch of guys from our area. The boys from Run Cat River Anchors was there. We had a wonderful time but that is just about too far for me to go. 14 hours is just about too far.
Yeah, that's
and I would never drive it straight through again. I'd have to stop. I just have to stop, spend the night someplace.
Yeah, that's a pretty big haul. I would have to do something like that. It would have to be a week's vacation for me. I'm not into driving somewhere and driving right back, especially if it's a cruise like that. But I'll drive a 12-hour one-way trip. If I'm gonna stay a week and drive back. But I'm not into driving 12 hours and fishing a day or two and driving back. That's just something.
We have a couple of guys, and I was going to mention this, and Chad Wall, Aaron Wheatley, Brad Becks. Congratulations to us. This is our 100th Catfish Weekly show, and thank you guys. This started out with a pipe dream sort of deal, and Paul Ragsdale started out. Paul was on to help us out last week. It was great to have him on here. I know him and his wife are ill again. This bug or whatever's going around, everybody's getting it and getting rid of it. But episode 100 of Catfish Weekly, and it was a great show, and we've had some really good guests. We're going to start getting some of the other people back on. I would like to mention that next week on Catfish Weekly, for you guys to ponder over, Joe Lucky and Jerry Klein the first is going to be on the show. Joe Lucky and Jerry Klein are some of the great fishermen in the Midwest. They go all over and fish. They're tough everywhere they go, and they are some of the greatest folks that you'll ever meet at a catfish tournament. They are really good people, and we'll have a lot of fun with those guys, and they're going to share some experiences they've had in catfishing, and I'm really looking forward to this tournament. I've known them for years and see them at a lot of the Midwestern tournaments, and Monsters on the Ohio last year, they's down there. They fish a lot of stuff, and they're competitive everywhere they go, so it will be really, really good. And Doc Lang, I know you're on the show tonight. When we can get to where we can make it happen, we want you on Catfish Weekly in the worst kind of way. So if we can get that to where we can get old Doc on here one of these days, him and Lynn would be an awesome show. And I know that she's not too wild about doing the show, but it'd be nice if she would consider that. But Doc, we got to get you on here. We just got to. But that's all I got for tonight, Chuck, unless you have something else.
No, that's about all I've got. I look forward to getting on there with these guys, and they have been through a whole lot. And the tournament I talked about that my friend fished on the Sante Cooper, where they had a championship for it. It was like a 24-hour event, and a hurricane came through. Mm-hmm. Yes, I'd really like to talk to them about them fishing that event. I mean, that an experience like that I've never fished in, even if the weather would have been good, but actually fishing, I think they said they were in a 20-foot tracker flat bottom boat at that event. And my friend was in a pontoon boat with the waves breaking over into the pontoon boat. So I could just imagine being in a 20-foot tracker, Sante Cooper with, swells that big. So that's just some stuff that these guys can share with us that, a lot of people never experienced, especially a 24-hour tournament that you fish 24 hours straight. And it may have been longer than that, but you actually, pull up and get to get out of your boat and go in somewhere and eat, come back out, get in your boat, go back fishing. But, yeah, that's some great stuff. I can't wait to talk to him about. But that's all I got, Lyle.
All right, buddy. For Paul Strouth, Vicky Mathena, Chuck Davidson, I'm Lyle Stokes. Thank you guys so much for sharing our 100th episode on Catfish Weekly. Until next week, that's a show.